Jew, and I'm a biblical felon. I mean, as all Jews are. I mean, I think it was a murder. I'm not sure. It made the papers. You can check on that. And I have my own idea about purgatory. I have a 6-year-old daughter. Purgatory, definitely. I think it's in Dante's Inferno. It's Chuck E. Cheese. There you go. So when I was growing up, I had a thing for my next door neighbor, Nancy Wolf. She was beautiful. And one day we were sitting in our living room, and I was going to make the moves, and my father walked in, and I was terrified. And I felt like I had done something wrong, and I never got to kiss Nancy Wolf, ever. And I mean, I was 6, and the show we were watching was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It's left a long-standing scar on me, and anxiety over women. You know, there were no dates, and didn't ask anybody to the prom. And when I finally, I worked at a summer camp in the Finger Lakes, and this was great because we would go out and get drunk, and then we would come back to camp, and people would hook up, and it was great. And so I had a series of one-night stands, and they weren't really one-night stands. They were sort of one-moment stands, because you had to get back to your bunk. You know, we were counselors. But then about 20 years ago, something happened that really changed my whole life. America Online happened. And in 1992, you know, we were talking about Match.com before. This was way before Match.com. America Online was exciting. This was a time of naivete and wonder, and $12.75 an hour dial-up charges. And I racked up hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in going to what I found to be the greatest place to meet somebody that I'd ever found. The Jewish Singles Chat Room, America Online. And so you would meet somebody, and then you would meet in the chat room, and then you would go from the chat room into instant message. And then you would go from instant message into a private room. And then you would go into a private room and you would talk dirty. I mean, you know, it was great for me because I was so nervous with women, but I wasn't nervous in a chat room. It was that buffer that I needed. Go from talking dirty in the chat to calling and talking dirty and having conversations that were disgusting. Disgusting. And then you would end the conversation with thinking in my head, going, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that. I'm so ashamed of myself. But my mouth was saying, talk to you tomorrow. Do it again. And eventually, I got around to meeting some people and actually had a few dates on AOL for a while. And then there was a great party. The Jewish Singles Chat Room got to be a community. And there was a party somewhere in Philadelphia. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time. And so I drove to this party, and I call it the Two-Something Party. There were 50 people from all around the East Coast, men and women, and it was the Two-Something Party. Because everybody, self included, was too-something. Too fat, too skinny, too awkward, too obnoxious, too something. But there was one woman who I went up there to see, and her screen name, not making this up, Honey Buns 9. Honey Buns 9 from Miami. And she had come to this party, flown up to meet me. And so I got to the party, and I'm mingling, and I'm nervous, and somebody told me that Honey Buns 9 was waiting for me up in one of the bedrooms of this house that neither one of us lived in. And I did the only reasonable thing, was I got in my car and drove back to Washington. I was nervous. But America Online led me to the love of my life, my wife. I met her in the Jewish singles chat room. She was living in Washington, I was living in Washington. I beat her down for 3 months. She wouldn't meet me. She wouldn't meet me at all. And then finally she did. And the first day that we met in person was my last day in the chat room. Thank you.
Aww.